right. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast, The Misplaced American. I'm your host, Justin White. I have a good friend of mine, someone I met. I didn't go to college, to his college, but however, I met him through through people who went to college, and literally from the moment I met him, he's just the most energetic, like positive person, one of the people I've met in my life. I'll let you introduce yourself.
What's going on, everybody? Ron Hinton, um, East Carolina University Alumni Association, board member emeritus, African American man,
Hey,
28. Just out here trying to find that identity, like a lot of people. So it's nice to talk to everyone. Nice to see you again, Justin, and hope everything's been well in your life.
yeah, man. I mean, like I said, because last time I think I saw y'all, I was still in the military and I was in South Carolina. And I'll drive up to Charlotte every other weekend to come see, like, because y'all would go there with J Will. We'd always go out
Yep,
and party and stuff. So I think the last time I think I saw y'all.
good times.
Yeah, man. I just,
Trips to B Dubs.
you know what? That's what I miss about America is wings. Like everyone asks me, yo, like, what do you miss the most about America? And I tell everyone's like, yo, hot wings.
Yo, they don't have wing. They don't have wings like that over there.
Nah, one of my homeboys, because I barbecue a lot.
Woo.
He offered me. He's like, because I made him barbecue wings. I made him hot wings for his birthday on the grill, and he was like, "Look, man, you trying to make some money?" I was like, "What's up?" He's like, "Look, every 2 weeks, I'll pay you to come barbecue some wings for me." I was like, "Man, I got to make my own barbecue wings, and I'm lazy." But
Oh man, that's
and
tough. That's
yeah,
that's all I'll say.
and
That's a
you
third of my diet,
and you in Texas, so of course you got the best everything, and then you don't get
bro.
the little anorexic wings they have everywhere else in the
Bro,
world. You probably got them
I be,
whole
bro.
drumsticks
I
for chicken.
I get them. I get them traditional, non-traditional, bone in, bone out. Sometimes with the bone, partial. Bro, I'm telling you, chicken wings is a third of my diet, man. It really is. It's just I don't know, man. It's something about just not it's not the full drumstick, it's not the full leg, but it's just what I mean. I don't know. Next thing you know, it's 12 of them gone.
The
So
next thing you know, you got two platters of wings. You sitting there like stomach all hanging out, looking depressed.
it's fun. Wings, one of those things. Might not even be hungry, but you put a plate of wings down. You next thing you know, you
I'm gonna
start
eat it.
picking on like,
Yeah,
um,
they like hot Cheetos.
like
You
yeah,
eat the whole
yeah.
bag.
Can't just have just one. What did I say? Can't have
Yeah,
just one.
but you can't have just one. But
Yep.
but yeah, man. I think so. Let's see. Let's think back. I think I met you. I'm not sure what you may have been your junior. You may have been a junior in ECU at that time. Because me and Chris
Yeah.
would go.
It was late.
Yeah, because I think I started coming to Greenville to hang out with Chris all the time when I was in the military back in 2000 and I want to say 2012, 2013. And so I'm
Yeah.
not sure what grade you were or what like gear level you were at then. But I think this when
Yeah. That's about junior year.
I think this when I met you because Chris would always introduce me to all his friends. And
Yeah.
and y'all would always go out to what was that bar called?
We'd be at Still Life,
It
and
was
then we go over to Fifth Street and
Fifth.
Distillery,
Yeah, that's what it was. That's what it was.
right in the corner.
Yeah,
Go park right in the corner.
and sit right back there in the corner and watch all the little drunk people dancing.
You talk about coronavirus, man. I'm telling
Man,
you what. I'm telling you what, man. If if people were at the bars that we were at, the halfway houses of the world,
still life
the
in general. Just still life in general. Just people breathing.
the
Man,
drink out of the cups, we were. I don't even know, man. I don't know. Let's just say I'm glad to be here and be healthy. If anything, I think I gained some immune system, uh, you know, through those ventures. So
oh yeah. By
yeah,
the
it
way,
was great.
I
Great
hope
to hear.
everybody's like where you are dealing with your friends and family safe and healthy, and nobody's dealing with anything
Thank you.
too extreme. I know that's like I said,
And
I
same to you.
looking from the outside in. Like America looks like a mess, but that's just from the outside in. Like we don't. I don't have the inside perspective, but like I tell everyone I talk to in America,
Yeah,
like
you do.
looking down in the
You
koi
do. You
pond,
were born in America. It
looking
it
down in the
ain't
koi
it
pond.
ain't it ain't changed.
Man,
That's the thing. There's no revolution. Things do look different. I will acknowledge right now, especially with the movement we do have in this country.
mhm.
Um, you know, uh, the movement is different. It does feel different. We are, we have been able to advance the narrative, further than before. But when Breonna Taylor's murderers are still not arrested, right? For me personally, like, we still have a long way to go. You and I being from the southeastern sector of the United States, we are no stranger to just being black. I remember, I was born in Maryland and grew up around. Just remember growing up and around a diverse, culture amount of
Yeah.
people. Columbia, Maryland, um, is a suburb outside of Baltimore, about 20 minutes outside of Baltimore, Maryland. And I remember being in kindergarten, first, second grade, and everybody was all sorts of
Yeah.
everything. And my mom is from a little small town called Ruffin Reedsville, North Carolina. So being black and having living in a single family home. My mom was raising me primarily. My dad, he's from Washington D.C., and so he was living in D.C. So you know having that one parent there, and her coming from an area that's very southern, okay,
Yeah.
very racist, but she didn't really want her kids to have to be in that kind of environment.
Right.
And so, when I was raised as a young adolescent child, those are my memories. Either I was in the suburb in Maryland, or I was right in D.C. You know what I'm saying? I was with my dad. When I'm out of school in the summertime, things like that, and school breaks, I with my dad in the middle of the inner city, Northwest D.C. Okay,
Right.
Sherman Avenue, 2 blocks down from Howard. Okay, so the thing is, man, I grew up you know, not even really understanding, the fact that I was oppressed because I was privileged.
Yeah.
Even in my
Exactly.
even in
Yeah.
my oppression, right? Even in the fact that my dad didn't go to college. My granddad, no male in a direct hit line had been to college. My mom was fortunate enough to be able to go to University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill
Mm-hmm.
in
Hey.
1973. And then my aunt attended the University of North Carolina at Agriculture Technical, the illustrious North Carolina A&T Aggies. Okay, and my uncle actually went to Elon College when it's still Elon College, not Elon University. So
Yeah.
on my mom's side, they were all college educated, and so for me personally, there was never a question whether if I was going to go to college, or if I was going to try to make something up, because that just was a natural. But that again, that's privilege, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of African American people who don't even have any kind of examples of anyone receiving a degree of higher education. And I'm blessed to be the first male in my direct Hinton line to be able to accomplish that. So I can't remember exactly how we got here and
No,
where
no,
we
you're
started.
fine, but you're fine because I actually want to. We'll get back on topic in a minute, but I do want to speak on what you
Right.
just said, like how you admitted to, or like openly said, and acknowledge and accept the fact that you said you had a privilege or you were privileged in a certain way. And for
Yeah.
people who are listening and get offended by the word privilege, you hear his example. He admits that he had a privilege in a certain situation, a certain area that put him in a better position than most would have been in. That's what.
Well, that's yeah, and that's
Yeah,
the thing,
that's
Justin.
essentially what
See,
it is. Just like it's not a
you
bad
can
thing to
be
have privilege.
oppressed. You can be oppressed and have privilege. People, a lot of times they feel like they have to be in one bucket or the other.
Mm-hmm.
You can be oppressed and have privilege, and that's why I said that this movement is different, because before, and there's nothing wrong with this, but before, there's been a long history of the narrative of being the plight of the black male, in our history, but we have left women out of the conversation
Ooh.
for a long time. And this movement is a lot different, because in order to truly get to a society in which that we as black males are protected, we must also protect our women. And we can't just protect the women that we like or are attracted to. We also have to protect black trans lives as well. Because you have to think of it this way. You know, for us to to inhabit a society that has laws and different things that help promote us rather than oppress us, right? For someone who's more oppressed than me, okay, it's going to require more for them. So if I'm advocating for them and they need more than me, then in my advocacy for them, I'm covering myself, right? But a lot of people don't want to get that deep into the conversation. And it's not even just that, right? Because that sounds kind of mean.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't understand that you can also be oppressed but still have privilege. See, I'm a man, so I have male privilege. I'm
Yeah.
also tall. I'm also articulate. So when I'm a tall, articulate male, even though I'm black, I've been able to get myself in and out of situations and in and out of opportunities
Hmm.
where a lot of people can't, because I also went to a predominantly white institution as a college, right? So, that's another thing, right? Even me going to a white institution in the middle of, Greenville, Southern North Carolina, in the middle of nowhere, that pressure, me going through that even again was to me somewhat of a privilege, right? Because it allowed me to be able to see things in their most raw form, and especially in a college environment where life isn't really that real. It really isn't that
No,
real.
yeah,
You're
it's
still
you're in a
you're
bubble.
still protected.
Yeah.
You're under, yeah. So I got to learn oppression and racism academically alongside with my courses and being in that environment, and it's turned me into a person that's able to navigate, which which is essentially the core of a lot of these conversations, right? Because they say, well, don't loot, don't go out there and express yourself in ways that aren't productive, right? But again, I've been armed, I've been privileged, so I've been armed with all these tools, and I've had an opportunity to go through these different things without having the pressures of being held to accountability of the real world. When campus police pulls up, it's different. It's
Yeah.
different when campus police pulls up.
Yeah.
When yeah, and not always the case, right? We do have we do have cases where you've seen Louisville, Kentucky's rough. It's been rough, but we'll just say that, right? We've seen campus police also, step out of line too as well. So anyway, again, I think everything is different because this movement to me has been about the true realization of what it's going to really take to get to what we want, which should be equity. Which a lot of people talk
Oh,
equality. It should be
I
equity.
actually want to well, bring up another point a little bit later. I'm actually going to write this in because I'm going to talk about
Cool.
this, but
I'll
I don't
stop
want to put
ranting.
I don't want to put the cart before the
I'll
horse
let her
because
go
that's
online.
actually a really good topic that I wanted to bring up because I was reading it just before we started recording, but I'll get to that in a second. Uh, most people probably don't know what you do. Anyone listening probably actually doesn't know what you do. So, because when I first met you, you were doing I think promotions or they were doing a social
Yeah.
media advertisement. So, what is that?
Yeah.
What do you do now? Is that still what you do?
So, yeah. So when I graduated school, I was like everybody else. I was just unemployed and needed a job. So I actually started working on a contract role through a staffing agency. So people have heard of staff agencies like Tech Systems, Insight Global, and Randstad, and they back in the day the old people called them headhunters, right?
Yeah.
So I started out on a contract. I was making $15 an hour on that contract. I had to work 3 jobs just to, my rent was $550 a month without utilities. So I think I was making $481 a week with just my one job. So I was living out. I was living on campus at a university, working for their. It was a science program for high school students. So I was a program manager doing that. So I was living on campus doing that, working at a corporate job, making 15 hours or 40 hours a week. And then I was doing security at a nightclub to make ends meet when I started. So I realized what was happening to me. The game was getting played on me when I was on contract. I said, well, this company is paying this other company $35 an hour for my job. I'm seeing 15. And I realized
Mhm.
that this agency was keeping 20. So I said, man, this is some real gangster stuff right here. I was like, you know what, this is not, this is crazy. So I said, well, let me go and do that. So I became a technical recruiter, and I got on the staff and got on the other side of being, on the other side of contracts and things like that. And through that experience, I got to work for the corporate sector of a very large multi-billion-dollar company, and got to work directly with the president with the company on executive projects, and it was really awesome to do that. At like 23 years old, that's when I also joined the board of directors, alumni board of directors for our alumni association at East Carolina. One of the youngest to do that as well, and it was just a really awesome time. And then I actually lost my job. I got laid off because they changed the base salary of the company for recruiters from 30K to 50K. So the first place they started making cuts was the top.
Mm.
I was a part of the meeting where they actually made the announcement they were making this increase. And it was awesome for me. I was like, oh, I'm a recruiter. It's going to really help me recruit more people to the company. A month later, they're like, you know what, budget, we can't sustain your role. So when I got let go, and I was one of the top producers, and they had made all these promises to me, I was hurt, and so I didn't really trust corporate America for a while, and that's when I started the digital media marketing business, and it was called Fire Media Group, FIER. We got a lot of flack because of FYRE,
The
the
Fire
Fire Festival, things
Festival.
like like,
Not
but it was hard to
associated
me.
with
Yeah, it wasn't such, it was hard to me though, because it's like it looked corporate on paper, but it was fire. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? It was fire. So I was blessed to do that, man, for close to 3 years, and realizing I was only 26 and a half, 27 years old. I'm like, look, I don't exactly know if I have all the tools in me to be as successful as I could be in entrepreneurship just yet. So I started looking for different corporate opportunities to get myself back into corporate, because after being an entrepreneur, I realized that I needed more skills. And when you're an entrepreneur, it's all up to you for your personal development and growth.
Hmm.
Um, and that's why I love jobs, even career jobs. If you could just have a job, that's free training. That's a playground right there. Because if you take L's at having a job, maybe you lose out on an account, or don't sign this person, or don't this person doesn't. If you're a recruiter, this person doesn't get a job, you go on the cold streak. You'll still be employed, and they'll try to be there for you. They'll coach you up. They'll give you resources and tools and stuff to be successful. When you're an entrepreneur and you're not successful, it's just you. It may be the couple of people that's helping you out, and don't be the president or on the board or in any kind of leadership of a small company. Because if you can't figure it out and you don't have any kind of direct mentors, and your applicable line of business as well, right? People that experience, and you're trying to do something like digital marketing. That's why some of these companies are really lightning in a bottle. It's almost a miracle that some of these companies got to the magnitude that they did, because I mean, it's a part of it is luck. You have to have the right situations and be in the right environment, and all these things have to click.
It's
So for
funny.
me, I
It's
was like,
funny you
yeah,
say that because I
yeah,
was actually reading something about an entrepreneur the other day. It was no, it was maybe it was a motivational speaker, and he said something along the lines of, he's like, the reason I'm here. He's like, I can tell you I worked hard. I can tell you that all this stuff. I can tell you that I didn't sleep at night. Essentially, he said I can tell you all the things that any entrepreneur is going to tell you you need to do to be successful. He's like, but at the end of the day, I didn't work any harder than any other hardworking entrepreneur. What happened was I
no,
was in the right place, the right time, and knew the right people. And he's like, and that put
yep,
me in a really good situation. He's like, he said, the best
yep,
thing I can tell you is network more. He's like, network just as hard as you work. And
yep.
I thought
It's
that
the
was
truth.
really interesting because when I first met you, everything that you said, it almost sounded it not in a bad way. It sounded like a plug. It sounded like, oh yeah, I know so and so. Like I have this idea. You're like, I know so and so that can help you out with this. I know the person that can help you out with this, and I got this group chat of like 50 friends that we all do. I'm like, man, like he got a homeboy. You got a homeboy that works at NASCAR.
You
You
have
get
to. You
race,
have to.
yeah. And it's like, so it's
Because
like you like the network king almost. You know what I'm saying?
and that's the thing though. When you're an entrepreneur and you're a small business owner, you need things. You need, photography. You need videography. You need. Sometimes we did a networking event, did the Shiggy challenge. I don't know if you remember that, the In My Feelings. Sometimes you need choreography. You don't even know what you need. All sorts of ographies. And I'm just me. I don't do none of that stuff. I don't do graphic design. So I had to literally tap in. Well, I got a friend here that does logos. I got a friend here that does videos. And over time, and another thing too is business, right? So, businesses need these solutions and these needs as well. And so, at one point I just started because I felt like a G. I felt like Jerry Krause. I felt like I was, somebody, oh, I need photographer. I'm taking my boy here. One of my friends, and he wasn't even a photographer before I started my business.
Yeah, I
And I said,
remember that.
listen, man, you're really good at framing. I seen you take cell phone, but you have a good eye. You ever just, thought about picking up a camera? And we gave him a spare Canon camera. He started to learn on that, started with the autos, and then he started, learning how to manual adjust his settings and different things like that, filters and stuff. And then, we went to Best Buy one day and he was trying to buy a new Canon. I said, nah, man, you always say Sony PlayStation better than Xbox, so you can put your money where your mouth to get that Sony Canon, get that Sony camera because it's got that low light exposure. It's crazy. So
See,
all
that's
I'm
what.
saying, man, is just you. you need all these elements. You know, my girlfriend just started her business and design this year, and it was awesome just to be able to sit there and say, well, she needed this, and I, you know, I had already had somebody do the website, logo, all sorts of stuff. Just, and I haven't been in business in over a year, close to 2 years now. So,
See, that's what I
um,
love. That's what I love. Like people like having friends, and like I said, and like, don't get me wrong. Like if anyone listening, like we might sound like we're like we talk all the time. I probably like each other's pictures and messages once every couple of months. But
in
but
passing,
yeah,
I have a
but
comment for that too, though. But it's
but
yeah,
yeah, but it's like nice because like when I did meet him, it was like the genuine like I'm not a jerk, I'm not a dick, like, and it's not like I'm gonna use you kind of thing. It's like, oh, he's definitely a good friend to keep around because if you have a question or you need help, he's that person that's going to direct you in the right way. And it's so for me, I think because I've never been a person who, like I said, like I said, like I've never been a person that has the skills to do something. I've always been the networker. I've always been the bridge between other people to make things happen. And I'm not like I said, I'm not, and it's not a bragging thing. It's just something. Some people are made to talk. Some people, I hate to say it this way, but it's like I told one of my friends I grew up black, and I grew up in a black area, but majority of my friends were white growing up, and and that was solely based off the fact that I knew I could get more and further in life with the white friends I had than I could the black friends at that time.
and
And
that is not that's not your fault.
it's,
Anybody who I want to anybody listening who was mad at Justin for that, it's not his fault. It's called being born black in America. That's it. It's survival. It's survival. It's survival. And that experience looks different for everybody. For everybody. When you're trying to survive, you don't think about when you're just in a survival situation. You're not sitting there thinking about, well, what is the nuances of all the things I need to do to be fall in line with all my people throughout all the years. That's self-oppression. You know, being from a very rural area where there's, you know, we was maybe five black people. Yeah, I was with them. I was with them. But people know me, they knew me more for running with the white people. But there's because I could, and I had, you know, and I recognize again
and you were
that
able
the
to
majority of
code
people around me
switch,
were
yeah,
white.
and you were
They
able to
were
code
white.
switch into that to put that mask on to be like, all right, I can turn this, I can tone down how I normally talk to fit in this way, and then I hate to say get what I want because I'm not a user,
No,
to
to
maybe,
get what you want, because you want to be successful.
yeah.
You see your white peers do nothing, and they're the leaders of the glee club, and they're the leaders of the student council, and then the leaders of this, and they have worse grades than you. And you sit back and you're like, what is the difference? You know, they're getting the first chair in the musical selections and stuff. I used to get passed up on stuff all the time, you know. And I sit there, but my white peers had these things, and it really wasn't until I started to assimilate and using that to my advantage. You know, because the thing, you have to use racism against itself to be successful. You just do. Like, you know, people, you say to me, Ron, you're one of the good ones, and you don't talk like them, and
Ooh,
you don't.
okay.
But then they would accept me into their space, and then once I was in there, then I can start hammering away at their ideals and their philosophies. But I can never change, or I can never impact, not even being in the room. And I could personally never be advocated power, delegated power, if I wasn't trusted. That's the
Hmm.
thing. You know, people gave me so much flack for joining a white fraternity, and then, you know, using that as a platform when I ran for SJ president. Listen, listen. First and foremost, when I went to Rush, every single, you know, Divine Nine was kicked off of campus. Racism, small things that the chapters had done, and levied the maximum fines against these chapters, where the white counterpart chapters did things much more egregiously and remained on campus. So first and foremost, as a black man, when I wanted to rush and be a part of a brotherhood, there was none available, because I would definitely would have probably, I 200% would have been an ice cold brother, Alpha Phi Alpha, you know. Okay, like MLK, you can't. There would be
Yeah.
none other fraternity for me. But I actually joined the first white fraternity to integrate in Sigma Tau Gamma. And so for me, especially with the makeup of the local chapter, the brothers that were in that group, they were a very mixed group of people. And I, you know, the majority of people that, you know, pretty much brought me into the group were black. So, you know, that was the funny part of my experience. But on the outside looking in, I was judged and said, I was called a sellout and X, Y, and Z, because I had the short shorts and I was dressed like them and things like that. But here's the deal. When I got into the room with the chancellors and the board of governors and board of directors, then I can really sit there and champion and advocate. Well, because again, it's racism. So when they see somebody black, they're going to be like, well, you're black. Tell me about
What do
some
you
black
think?
stuff and
Like
how do
you,
you, and
like
then
yeah,
boom, then I can deliver it.
yeah.
But
You
if I,
essentially become the voice. Like what was it? What was someone
which
said? Like when you're in class and they're like the section about something black happens in the school board,
you
everyone looks
become
at
the
you.
advocate of
Yeah,
your
you
whole
yeah,
race,
you become the mouthpiece for
the
all black people at that
representative.
point. Yeah. So, but
Yeah,
on that note, though, on that topic, because you
but I
actually
got smart.
it was a perfect
Yeah,
segue into the next topic I wanted to get into with you was because like I said, when I first met you, I didn't know you. I just knew you as initially was like just fun Ron, like party boy Ron, like the guy who just like goes to the club, pop bottles, we all in the corner
Millie Rock.
dance.
You
Yeah,
already know.
that was. I was like, man, I want to be like this guy, and he's younger than me, and but essentially like I've watched your growth like over social media and just like meeting you in Charlotte again after a couple of years, and just like seeing you around,
Yeah,
like
we
how you
friends.
how you progress from party boy to like businessman to like almost like I essentially like, man, this guy's run for president one day. And but so
I,
I guess what I'm saying is like you've worn many masks to
yeah,
fit in, to get along, to make it.
yeah.
So who would you say you are now, based on like, and how much have you changed from college to now, like, or like I would say from senior year to like this point right now, where would you put
Yeah,
yourself? Like who are you?
that's a loaded question for me. And I share the same plight as many, black men do in this country. Again, just I want to talk about my background real quick before I answer that more in full. My mom is from a very small town, Reesville Rough in North Carolina, one stoplight kind of place, very racist, 336, Pelham. Anybody who knows anybody, they know. And then my dad is from Chocolate City. Okay, and not on the edge of it. He was this is we're talking Georgia Avenue and Petworth. You're talking about Theodore Roosevelt High School, the Rough Riders. Okay,
Hmm.
and so I grew up fucking confused. For a better lack of explanation. When my mom, who suffers from a mental, she's schizophrenic. Okay, and my dad, who doesn't have a college education, is working hourly jobs. He was a security guard his entire life. He died at age 53 from a heart attack, another common black problem. you
Hmm.
know and you know just growing up, man, it was hard because as a man, especially, you love your father. You always want to seek approval from your dad. That's a big
Hmm.
deal. But not having him around really affected me mentally, especially trying to grow and become a man. I didn't really have an example. I had a house with my mom, my aunt. A lot of times she was living with us and not living with us. I lost her last year to cancer. Not even 60, or yeah, like not even 65. And then my sister. So, and then my grandma when she was alive. So, there's three, four black women in the house, and it's me. You know what I mean? I grew up in that for the most part. And so when I got a chance to be around my dad and just get any kind of male guidance, like it was awesome.
Right.
But to lose him at, my freshman year of college at 18 was devastating, because that's when that's when black men really need their fathers, is when they're learning to become men.
Yep.
And so, you know, uh, so that just stirred a big identity crisis for me, not having a black male in my home, as an example. And because as great as a black mom or a mom in general will be, being a mom, but they'll never be a dad too. They'll do the best that they can. My mom, she's athletic. She got me into basketball and it was all that on my sporting events and stuff.
Right.
But she was never my dad. And so, for me, primarily also too, traditionally with custody, right? You typically go with the mom.
Hmm.
So growing up, when we moved from Maryland to North Carolina, to Reedsville, North Carolina, when I was, in the third grade, from '01 until when I moved out of North Carolina in tw- uh, December 2018. That's how I was in North Carolina for that amount of time. I was born in Holy Cross Hospital, Maryland. My adolescent memories, up until third grade is Maryland, and like very diverse. And my mom had a
Yeah.
very good job. So the funny thing is, my mom was on a very good foot when I was growing up. And so everything was great. Dad's just, hopped right over to DC. It was fun. We had a big old house. And so to see my mom get sick and lose it all, and then had to we moved into the house that her dad built, which at that point was not even sustainable for people. We didn't have running water in the house. We had a kerosene. It was a kerosene
Wow.
heater that was in the centralized in the house, and it used to actually, the pipes on it used to bust all the time. So we used to have soot fires. Um, the um, the the foundation in the bathroom in the house was caving in, so we couldn't use a shower or the tub. I couldn't use a sink because the sink was also caving in, and so we
Mhm.
only really had the toilet. The toilet was leaning, and so it wouldn't flush. It was terrible. And we had roaches, we had field mice. It was so cold and non-insulated, so we had to put plastic on the windows in the wintertime. And I remember having to actually, again, we couldn't like wash up in the bathroom. So we had these plastic bowl tubs, and we used to boil. My mom used to wake up before we used to get to school, and we used to boil water on the stove.
Mhm.
And she would pour the boiling water in our tub, in our little basins, and we had a wash rag and a bar soap. So that's how I bathed myself from third grade until you know sophomore year of high school. And then my mom got too sick and had to go to the hospital, and was in there for pretty much my whole sophomore year of high school. I
Mhm.
had to move in with my grandma. And then when she couldn't take care of me, I was homeless and I had to move in with my cousins. And there was three boys in one room in a two-bedroom apartment. Okay. And when she couldn't feed me, I had to move out with my cousins. And that's who I finally lived with until I pretty much people got better.
Right.
Went and lived with my dad for a little bit. But the point I'm trying to make is I was homeless as a high school student, and I was suffering from black problems. I was a child of the system. We used to get we used to have the EBT. We used to get our food from the church. And I remember it, every time we got the food, the expiration dates would be tomorrow or
Yeah.
whatever. And I grew up, man. It's funny because I had everything as a child, but maturing into a preteen and a teenager, I was poor. And it destroyed it played a really big effect on my psyche. And especially not having a male influence was terrible. So um again, I was very confused. I had touches of DC in me, I had touches of like roughing in me. And so when you go to a school where it's a county school and there's not that many black people in period, yeah, I was with my cousins, I was with all the black people, but I also had to get along with people who were rednecks and everybody. And too, you got to think it was what this is like '06, '07. So
Yeah.
people, it's not intense right now. Kanye had already said, George Bush don't like black people. We got past that. No, nothing was going on, especially from a mind of a child, right? So, as I learned just who I was, being in band and being in the organization, playing basketball, team sports, I didn't really know, again, my oppression and my color, and what was, happening to me and the things that are being said. And, I remember one time, this kid named Jimmy Lee, his name was Jimmy Lee. And, he said some stuff to my sister on the bus and spat on me and called me the N word. And, I beat his ass and I got suspended too. We both got suspended. That's the kind of environment that I was, being reared in as a black child, where somebody can essentially commit a hate crime against me. I defend myself, and
And
I
you both
also get in
yeah.
trouble. you know so then I take that and I go to East Carolina, which is basically my hometown in another area. It's just as racist, just as country,
Literally.
just as the thing about this, the population of the city of Greenville, there's a lot of black people there, so I was very fortunate to as well to understand the community. But the thing is, my 4 years, I watched that area. People called the ruins, called run down the area. I watched it become gentrified as
Yeah.
I was in school, and it's not even completely kind of same area now. They done drove all the black people out, and
Hmm.
it's sad to see.
It's funny because
So
not to cut you off, but I grew
you're
up like,
fine.
yeah, I'm from Washington. Like I'm from the town over, and
Yeah, exactly.
so I grew up watching this whole process. I remember my dad always saying like, "Oh, we need to buy some land out there by that college, because it's going to be worth some money soon." And I think my grandparents may have done it, but I don't think my parents ever did. And yeah, man, I remember just every summer, every day I drive to Greenwood because I hated Washington so much, such a small town. And I remember
Yeah,
seeing the Greenwood, and I remember like all these
it's
roads.
beautiful though.
Yeah, like it's Washington, whatever.
The
But
sound, man, it is gorgeous, bro. I'm telling you, it's when you from somewhere, because the water I'm used to is Potomac River, God. You gotta understand. You gotta understand.
man,
You get the nice clean anyway.
but
Continue,
man,
continue.
Washington, no, but no, yeah, I remember seeing Greenville every year, like something else would be built. I remember when they was it. What was they started building like these fancy restaurants. They're building up. I remember they were adding gas stations. I remember
All
people
sorts of stuff.
getting upset because they were closing like all these family shops and stuff, and they were
Mm-hmm.
closing out the apartment buildings that were near the college. I think it was a bunch of
Yep.
apartment buildings, and they kept changing. They were changing names for a while to the point where I think
Stratford Arms, and they
is that what
demolished
it
that
was,
down
and
there.
they took it
Yeah.
down. And so
Mm-hmm.
and these were like you said, predominantly black areas where they were just essentially moving them out, essentially moving them out. And people who don't know what gentrification is, because I've explained it to a lot of UK people, but I guess I have a platform now, so I can say it to a lot of people. Gentrification, in a sense, is basically a poor area. So someone with money comes in, starts buying up sections of this poor area, and then raising the cost of living in that area. So say now they bought this $50,000 house for $150,000 and fixed it up. They can sell it for $250,000. So that means the homeowner that's renting to a lesser fortunate family is now going to think I can get that kind of money too. So he starts kicking up people out, and then bringing people with more money. So that keeps happening to the entire neighborhood is now taken over by people with money. Now that are less fortunate
And the
are
original
now,
neighborhood's gone.
yeah. So now your original neighborhood is gone. Now you have more homeless people, or you're now subscribing or adding to the homelessness, which is America. But
Yeah.
sorry, but it's
And then
essentially
once the residential is established too, you get the kind of people they want in the area.
yeah.
Once that's established, then they start buying up. Then the people who own the storefronts of the small businesses and minority-owned businesses, they start jacking they rent up, and that's when the barbershops stop disappearing, the corner stores, and all this. As they
And,
start disappearing, next thing you know, that's when you see Starbucks and
and then
Chipotle.
no, nope. And once you get a Whole Foods, game over.
Oh, it's over.
So once you get
Lidl, all sorts of stuff. They don't.
Trader Joe's,
Yeah, no, no. But then the town is so proud of it.
yeah, everyone's like,
So
we fixed this up. We made this better, and it was like, but for who?
but it was the result of the original white flight that happened post segregation. So it was the white people who sucked the money out of the areas to begin with, starved and impoverished the area and made it bad, took the resource out of it, and then drove the value down. This is the environment and the inhabitants and the neighborhoods and the places of these people for all these years since this happened in the 60s. This is 2020, so now we're talking about 80 years, or sorry, 60 years ago and things like that. 60, 80 years ago happening now. You fast forward to now, and now these people can't. They've been here for several generations, a couple generations, and they can't afford to live there anymore.
Well,
Uh,
well, since we're
and now
here,
it's nicer. It's
since we're
nicer,
since we're here, not to cut you off again, but since we're here, because we keep coming back to it, so I just want to talk about it now. Have you seen? It was I think Asheboro or Asheville, North Carolina. I just talked. They just passed something about reparations for I guess families of slaves, or predominantly I guess black people in North Carolina, in that part of North Carolina. So they
Get
just
they.
passed.
I've never heard of it, but get they check. That's all the comments I got.
So I literally
Get your
just like
check.
it just came out. I'm going to read a statement from it. It's a historic move. North Carolina City approves reparations for Black residents. The resulting budgetary and programmatic priorities, Jesus, may include but not be limited to increasing minority home ownership and access to other affordable housing, increasing minority business ownership and career opportunities, strategies to grow equity and generational wealth, closing the gaps in healthcare, education, employment, and pay, neighborhood safety and fairness with criminal justice. These resolutions read. So basically, they're trying to help Black people get out of the hole that they were literally thrown into.
Sounds great. I mean, I hope, like I said, I hope it works out.
But But yeah, sorry. So yeah, we like to get off topic because again, we're two young black men who grew up in areas, so we're very passionate about what we say when it comes to uplifting black communities.
Yeah,
But I will say, you as a person, you have when I first met you, because
yeah.
you were talking about
I
your
was answering that question though. I was answering the question of who I am today, and I'm sorry I didn't
no, oh
completely
yeah,
cap it off. But
no, you're fine. No, yeah. So basically, no, yeah, from ECU to now, who are
yeah,
you? Like, what would be
yeah,
what would you
yeah,
say in
yeah.
a roundabout way would be your biggest
Okay,
like thing you can say like I was this person now then and now
right.
maybe you can't even say that, but what would be something that you could highlight for people to like let them know like
No, yeah, and I'm there, and that's why I want to tell my background story because here's the deal. The fact that again, there was different things that opportunities that presented itself and the timing of things that happened and why I became who I was while I was at East Carolina University. I think my ultimate goal while I was in school was to become SGA president, was becoming president of student government, either at the state level or at the local level at my local school. But, again, I think it was an identity crisis where I wanted to be someone and I chased that for
mm,
4.5 years. And so when I lost every single election I'd even ran in, and I'd done all these things like join fraternities and be in a band, and all those things had to do with that goal. And the funny thing is, I never accomplished that goal. Never won anything that I ran in, and that forced me to just tap into myself and really listen to who I was, and so I started doing things. I had an opportunity to become an on-camera correspondent with ESPNU when I was in college and do the campus connection program, and I started to just throw myself into certain situations that I was uncomfortable with because I didn't know. Again, I had done all these things and established and made these things a part of my identity to accomplish something that I didn't even accomplish. So
right.
then it just really left me high and dry. And I'd done, SJ all these years where I should have been trying to get a damn job. And so when I graduated, and here's another thing too that I haven't talked about. I was overweight also while I was in college, and so it really wasn't until the last, I want to say, 10 or 11 months that I was in my college town, I had dropped 30 pounds. Got my heart broken, happens, right? And dropped this weight,
Got the
and
comeback
so
body.
right, and so through exercise and through fitness as well, and being around with the right crew, that created created an atmosphere for the Savage that came out, in 2015, and I don't know if you remember, Future's DS2 album dropped that year too,
Yeah.
and so where your ass was at was blaring in the beats. Chris Carr gave me a pair of beats, over ears, and I became this fitness guy and through that hard work and just learning how to be disciplined, because here's the deal, again, as being a young black man, and my mom being sick and going from home to home being homeless, I had no accountability. So I never really learned what discipline was. I had tastes of it from different households I'd been in. But again, just from having no job, being overweight, and just not being who I wanted to be. I knew I was somebody, and I had done all these things, and people knew me for all these different things I had done. I still felt like, in 2015, that I didn't have an identity, and so slowly but surely, I just started to tap into how I wanted to dress and my style, and so I really never had the money to own J's and stuff like that. I said, well, I'm gonna start investing money into my shoes, and I'm gonna start investing money into quality things in here. And I couldn't at first, I couldn't afford the J's. I said, well, how can I be fly but different? So I started wearing these dress boots, Taft boots, and different things like that because it was a different swag, but it wasn't as expensive. But if I did spend the money, these things last longer. Like when I go out in a pair of dress boots, I would get compliment after compliment, and they cost as much as a pair of Jordans. But the thing is you can wear them in the rain, you can wear them in the mud, you can wear them, you could just wipe them off, quality
Hmm.
leather. It's not like a pair, they don't crease.
I ain't worry
You
about
know what
fighting
I'm
somebody in the
saying?
club when they bump into me. So
Exactly. So, I go to a club, drink the whiskey, shotgun some beers, get it all, but then just wipe it down at the end of the day. It's not a sneaker. So, really through my fashion and through my fitness, I kind of just found who I really am today. And all the things I did in the past are a part of me, right? Like
Hmm.
I'm always going to be a, fraternity guy. I'm always going to be a musician. I played instruments since sixth grade. I'm always going to be a drummer. And, I'm currently a rapper. So all these things I did, even if they were to assimilate or to survive or to, accomplish something, those things became a part of me. But the guy I am today is just sheer confidence. That's just it. I'm very confident in myself. I just encourage everyone to always look internally to themselves. A lot of people, I think the old me really wanted to live up to expectations that other people had for him. He really wanted to fit in. I really wanted all these things for no reason. And then when I finally looked internally and looked and said, well, who do I want to be and what do I want to represent? I found it was this guy, that loves to be fresher than average. Even my grocery store fit, I buy stuff particularly to be fresh in these situations. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just who I am, right? Like,
Oh
I
man.
play 2K. I only own one game. It's NBA 2K. That's the only thing I play. And I eat chicken wings again. It's third of my diet. But again, these things I'm happy with. You know, this is me. You know what I'm saying? And I think for the first time ever, I'm actually being me versus what I felt I needed to be in order to be a certain person. Another thing came with just my grind and where I am in my career, right? So, you know, I mean, I make six figures plus now. So I don't, there's a whole lot of stuff I don't answer to now. Just to be honest, there's a whole lot of stuff I just don't do. Because at the end of the day, I've earned this. You know what I'm saying?
You put yourself in a position to pretty much take control and be happy of it. Like you don't have to depend on someone else to
There's nothing,
make you happy.
especially when you have financial independence, because like I saw, man, somebody I went to high school with, posted. It was so funny. They posted a status, and it was a copy and paste status going around with was right people, and it was basically just saying a whole bunch of reckless stuff, and then hailing Trump because Trump wanted to reopen churches, and as they say, if you can't stand by somebody who wants to do this, then you're wrong, and it ended on, and if you don't like this, you can delete me and give back your stimulus check. And so, I'm sitting back. Yeah, I know, Rockham County, North Carolina. It's the don't whatever. So, at this point, some Trump supporters are now holding the stimulus check over people's heads and saying, if you don't like it, this is what your president. Obama did a stimulus, Bush did a stimulus, Clinton did. Every president that I think since I've been alive has done a stimulus in some form or fashion at some point in the presidency. So, it was a really great feeling for me to be able to just get on there and comment and say, listen, I understand what you're trying to say. I agree. Any person who wants, it makes no sense that bars and restaurants are open and churches and places of worship aren't. But at the end of the day, President Trump is not someone I feel like this country needs, because we don't need, a leader of this country to be someone who's going to be so divisive. That's all I said. I said a lot of respect to you, but honestly, I never got a stimulus check. 26% of everything I make goes back to federal taxes. Say Texas doesn't have state income tax.
Ooh.
So it goes but 25% of everything I make goes straight back to federal tax alone. I said my money was the money sent to be doing the stimulating. So, you know, again, when you accomplish things and you able to get to a point in your life, it changes your reality. If I were, in a different financial situation and I had received a stimulus check, I would shut down. What do you want to say to that? And that's the reality for a lot of people that she knows. But I just so happened to be scrolling around Facebook today, and I was able to respond with my reality and just letting her know these are my realities, these are how I feel, and I'm able to convey my thoughts in that manner, because that's the life in the walk that I'm living right now. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
didn't lie, I didn't flex. It's not tricking if you got it. It ain't tricking if you got it. So, I just learned. I say, listen, like we don't need this rhetoric. We don't need this divisive stuff. That's not needed.
I can do bad on my
and
own.
and that's and that's another thing. It's like, but also for you to say things about stimulus, that's one, it's very rude and irresponsible. But then lastly too, it's not you're not really talking to everybody, and a lot of people need to understand that. So I feel like a lot of people, they make these posts and they think they really got the world, and it's like, bro, or ma'am, whatever you're saying right now is not. You're not really reaching who you think you need to reach.
That's something
Yeah,
actually.
and I said it with
Yeah,
respect,
yeah, and
and
that's
and
something.
that's
And
it, you strategically very
yeah,
tact.
and that's because I tell people I was fortunate enough to leave America when I was 20 years old, back in 2011, and I've seen like all parts of the world. I've seen poverty, I've seen riches, I've seen people this and that. I've walked by, like I've lived in a place where like you walk down the street and there's like Lamborghinis driving past you. So
Hmm.
I've literally been all across the
It's
world
my neighborhood now.
seeing everything. And I can honestly say if I had stayed in my town, I probably would have, excuse me, had the same ideals or same problems, or it's not the same problems, same ideals, same outlook that a lot of people in my area have
Nature
towards.
versus nurture.
Yeah, and it's the thing. It's like I think a big problem with people, a lot of people in America. I've deleted a lot of people on Facebook just because I can't deal with the one-sided ignorance. People who can't
I haven't had
think,
the Facebook app on my phone for 2 years.
man.
I only use the web browser. Like I just
I deleted the app for a while because I got really depressed during I can't remember what it was. Something happened and I couldn't deal with having my phone. So like for like a good almost half a year, I was like, I can't do Facebook anymore. So like I said, I only log into my web browser, post something about my family, say, hey, I'm good, and I just log out. But
mhm.
I kept seeing recently everyone talking one sided, like, oh, everyone feels this way or everyone should feel this way. And I was like, yo, looking from the outside in, like I've been living outside of America since I was 20. I'm 29 now. So almost 9 years I've been outside of America. And looking in, man, like I was like, this looks like a joke. Like, how can you say you speak for so many people or think you're speaking for so many people and you live in this, you never left your small town. Like you don't have any
No,
perspective outside of your
no.
small town.
We ain't
And
never done nothing. They ain't
yeah, and
never,
so,
and it's not to put these people down because a lot of these people are victims of their systemic environment. The lack of opportunity. The average salary for people my age, where we're from is 50K. Well, it's not the average. That's like somebody that's doing really well
yeah,
is
that's
50K.
it's like, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and so, again, like being able to be 28 making over 100K, over 110K, it really, you know what I'm saying? It just, I even I feel bad for these people, and not in a way that I'm being like condescendingly, right? I just feel bad that, whatever circumstances in their life, maybe they have like a mom or a dad or grandfather or somebody or something is keeping them there in that environment. I guarantee you, because a lot of these people, if they had the opportunity, they would jump out and be like you and get out of the country. But there's a lot of, everybody is walking their own walk, and everybody has a different story, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody's dealing with something. And that's when I started being way more empathetic to folks. It allowed me to be more sympathetic. Sometimes sympathy isn't what people need. They
Not at
need
all. Yeah.
empathy, and they need a swift ass kicking. But at the end of the day, I do recognize that, there was a system built to put poor people and keep poor people in their place. That's another thing that makes me sad about where I'm from is there's a lot of like racism and a lot of things, but it, they're in the same class. And the things the people they vote for withhold the systems that also keep, good paying jobs and high paying and a lot of opportunity out of their areas, keeps their areas desolate as they are, and they don't realize what's happening to them, because they're so blinded by bigotry and hatred, that they're literally voting for the people. And that's why voting is so important. Is because, you have to not only the battle is won, on the streets and protesting and writing the letters and sending the emails and making the calls, but it's also making sure we bully these people who keep the infrastructure into place. And when we say, divest and defund the police, is not so much that, you get rid of the police, but, we start actually, because I mean, let's face it, in America, it's a egregious amount of money that we spend in protection. I mean, our military, and again, our military. So it's 10 times. What is it? 10 times more than any other
Man,
combined. Like
yeah, man.
we had the we had the neighborhood watch, we had the National Guard, we had the police, we had the local police, we got the sheriff, the county sheriff's office, and then you turn around, you got the SWAT and the special teams and all the narcotics teams, and then you got the FBI, the CIA, and then you got every branch of the military, and it's like, come on.
NYPD 2.6 billion, and people were crying because they took 240 million away from 2.6
That's what
billion.
I'm saying, man.
But on that topic, because you actually lead me to a very, very good point. So I can firmly say I tell everyone I'm 100% unapologetically forever pro black. That's who I am.
Yeah, we black.
I will
What
fully
do you?
support all things black.
Yeah,
That,
hell yeah.
that being said, I know you and myself growing up, and even now, I'm not ashamed of it. We've had a taste in women. And it's not like we get angry or we turn down like any women. It's just the type of women we're around a lot more tend to be the women that we attract. And
Yeah, yes and no.
I saw an ignorant statement the other day when I was online. It made me kind of angry because I've never said anything negative to bring down a woman of color in my life.
Never will. I was raised by
Yeah,
him.
I was raised
I
by a
wouldn't be me
black
without
woman.
him.
My relatives are all black women. I'm married to a black woman. Like, and essentially the statement said, you can't be pro black and date someone that's white. And that kind of really offended me because a majority of my life I've dated white women, and it's not because I hated black women. I was around white women a lot more, and
You're from Washington, North Carolina. There's
yeah,
one first and foremost. There's like all the 12 black people in Washington.
and then I'm related to all the black people in my
You're
town.
and
So
you're related to. So what you gonna do? Date your cousin?
yeah,
Listen,
and then I moved to Raleigh, and then it was like it was interracial
because
dating was
there's no Hispanic population really. There's no Asian population. So that's another thing. Where you're from, it's like it's not that some black men. It's like we chose to just date white people. It's like, well, if you didn't, there's only one or the other.
it's
You
like,
have a whole bunch of
I'm either dating
options.
my cousin or and it's like I didn't see my first Asian, for instance, until I moved to Raleigh and went to college. So
Well, and how
that's
old were you? How
like
old were you?
18.
Yeah. See,
But yeah, so
continue.
what would you say? Because to me, I responded with this. I responded with, well, you consider yourself pro LGBTQ, like you support that community, but you have a heterosexual relationship. So are you telling me that you can't be pro LGBTQ and be straight? And he didn't respond. He never said anything else in place
Zipped them
of it.
up. Zipped them up.
So yeah, so like how like so hearing that, like what if you were able to see that, someone said it to your face, what would be your initial reaction, do you think?
Um, Initial reaction is definitely going to be led with emotion, typically, which is going to piss me the hell
Mm-hmm.
off. Cool. We've established that. I'm a human. Now, moving on to the more logical and my approach and my response to that statement. Is different strokes for different folks. I just want to make one comment on something you say, and you may not have said it intentionally, but I do want to speak to it. Is that you said something about a taste in whatever sort of women. I personally have never had a taste for anything. I think a taste. I think when we use that kind of rhetoric is very damaging and it's very. And again, I'm not coming at you. It's just
No, please, please.
this rhetoric. You're fine. I'm
Yeah.
just saying this rhetoric is normalized, right? And so, you hear it all the time. We talk about white women, black men, jungle fever, all this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all that stuff is to me is racist, and to me is not necessary, and to me is very predatorial rhetoric. Like
Okay.
to think about having a taste in women. Like I have a taste for pizza. What I do when I want to have a taste for pizza, I eat it. When I got to taste chicken wings, I eat chicken wings. I go and I seek it out and I go and devour it. I don't do that to women. We don't do that. And so, we have to destroy these traditional constructs in which that we even discuss these things, first and foremost. Second of all, again, different stroke for different folks. You might see a black man from Seattle, Washington. You might see a black man from Washington, North Carolina. You might see a black man from Reedsville, North Carolina. You might see a black man from South Central LA. Trust and believe, every single one of these brothers got different lives. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of these brothers. And I'm speaking from the male perspective first because I'm a male, by the way. It's not, no misogyny, no sexism here. But, right? So for me personally, I only dated two other women in my life, serious relationship, actual relationships.
Actual relationships, yeah.
Right. And so the last time I actually even personally dated someone myself was in high school. And I was a junior, and she went out to college a year older, went to college, cheated on me, got pregnant. And I didn't date anyone through school. And then, I've already told my story what my life looked like right after school.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my mind, especially all the black problems and the challenges I had to face, I never even felt like I could even present myself or give myself to someone. My mom's schizophrenic, in and out of hospital, things like that. I'm dealing with these things. How could I be in a relationship, commit to someone, and be who they need me to be? And I have so much to deal with. So for me, I had to deal with all my blackness in a lot of sense before I could even make myself available to anyone to even be in a serious relationship, especially as an adult. There's a lot of people that are in relationships they shouldn't be because those are situationships.
Mm-hmm.
And that's particularly not the situation. That's not what I wanted for myself, is to be with somebody and feel like I need them. And that's when people get into these bad mental mindsets where you have a lot of jealousy, you have a lot of people that have insecurities in a relationship because these are not two people that are together. These are two partial people that are coming together. They're not two whole people. And so for me and my idealistic, again, growing up where I was a single family household and seeing my mom and dad's relationship, and knowing my dad had one point cheated on my mom when she was sick and different things like that, and knowing that that's kind of what my granddad had done to my dad's mom. I wanted to break generational bondage.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I really hadn't been in a relationship. Now I happened to meet this girl from work, and she later on left the company, and she's from Seattle, Washington. Well, she's born in Arizona, but as pretty much grew up in Seattle, where there's even less black people than. So I remember we were watching Back to the Future, the other day, and she, there's that scene where they throw Marty McFly in the trunk of all the people that was in the band outside the
Yeah.
school, and they said they call them a bunch of spooks and all this, and reefer addicts. That I pointed out all the racist things that were in the first Back to the Future. And it's funny because from 1985, 1989, you see in the sequel how less racist it is and how much more progressive we got as a pop culture society. That's a side point. But the point I'm trying to make is the girl I'm dating is so far removed from our nation's history, which starts on the East Coast. It starts
Mm-hmm.
in the South. It starts, from, you talk about Boston all the way down to all the way down to Georgia, I'll say, right? That's kind of the hot pocket. And somebody who is really so removed their entire life from that stuff is just theoretically in history books and in classes is academic. And then you think about American educational, American educational quality all across the country and knowing where we rank in the world in education, right? They're not really teaching the true history in these history books. So a lot of this is her learning about racism and oppression and all these things through her relationship with me. So it's even more so in the fact that one, this is my first real relationship, and it wasn't like I was looking to be with any kind of girl of any color. This is just who
There's
life
no
presented
preference.
itself
You don't have
to.
a preference. You
Yeah,
just yeah.
no, because all women are beautiful. They are. That's point blank. Period. You know what I'm saying? Like bro, are you serious? Like a queen. Like I can say or go on and on about just how beautiful women are, but my point is that I never sat down like, man, I wanted a blonde hair, whatever eyed woman.
Right.
But this is what life presented to me. And then on top of that, this person alone, not even to her fault or own, does not even know anything about this stuff. She's not even been to North Carolina yet. I can't wait to just bring her to North Carolina and walk her around so she
Man,
could just, and you know what I'm
man.
saying?
I do that with
Then,
my female friends. I have a white female friend I go visit, and I had my baby last time I went to North Carolina, and I was walking around Walmart with her because she was with me, and she was helping me out with the kid. And my child looks mixed. She's super super light
yeah,
skinned.
your baby is
Yeah,
very light skinned,
she looks
beautiful
mixed,
baby, by the way.
and so she was like the mixed girl, curly, like she's a little light skinned
Cause
girl.
mom
Yeah,
got the complexion, yeah.
yeah, because her mom's mixed. Her mom is half white, half black. So so I
So the
walk.
baby, yeah. So the baby's actually a quarter. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
So walking around Walmart with my white friend Emily. Shout out to Emily. By the way, if she's pregnant, oh, so happy for her. But yeah.
Congrats,
So
Emily.
we walking around Walmart together, and like these old ladies are like giving me. She didn't notice it, but the stuff that I have to notice because I'm like protect your
Because we see
surroundings.
it, we
Yeah, because
see it.
I have to see it. And so like I was looking around, like I'm pushing my baby in the car, and Emily's like looking in the car, holding the car, and I'm like walking with Emily, and all these old ladies just looking at us and like getting us side eyes, and I'm like, yo, man. I didn't want to say,
Of all colors, you got the
yeah.
old white ladies looking at you like, oh my
I've
gosh, and you got
had
the old
old,
black ladies looking at you like, I
I've
can't
had
believe you
black
did this.
women when I got home from the military once, and this is I'm in uniform, fresh off
Defending
the
the
flight,
country.
and I'm fresh off the flight. I'm coming to my friend, pick my friend up Nicole up from the shark. No, yeah, the day we met Aunt, we all went out, and my friend
Yeah.
Nicole came. We were
Hey,
in the
yeah, Charlotte.
Yeah, we were in the mall, and I picked her up from the mall. And I was fresh off TDY from Vegas. Just got a temporary deployment thing from Vegas. Got back. I was like, yo, I'm picking you up from the mall so we can go party and hang out with Charlotte. And we get to the mall, and I'm walking around the mall with her, and this black lady, I'm in uniform. This black lady and her like daughter walked by, and she's like, he should have been with a black woman. Or she's taking our king or something like that. And I'm not dating my friend. Like, this is just a good
Right.
friend of mine who have been
Yeah.
who's in the
They
military
just
with
from
me.
the hip shotgun, just shotgun
And she
talking
like said it like kind of like, you know how like, like people say stuff loud so you can hear it, but like
loud enough, loud enough.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's like, he's like, should have been with a black woman. She's taking our men, and she didn't hear it because she didn't have to hear it. But it's the stuff that again I have to recognize when I'm walking around in places.
Yes.
And so but it's like, but if she was my girlfriend, that's my choice. Like I like
Right.
I can say I'm pro black. I'm a like
Well,
unapologetically forever pro black. I'm never gonna
yes.
like down black people for what you want to
Are you
do.
serious? No, I was the first
And
one defending the looting
yeah,
and
and
trying to
so,
explain to my white peers why it's happening. And I was also explaining to some of my black peers why it's happening
and so
and why
but
it's
people don't.
okay.
But the thing is, people don't want to listen. And like, if this guy who posted, I won't say his name, is listening, and because he didn't question it himself, he's like, I just think it's a really interesting topic, and I like to see what people think. But I know where he was kind of gearing
Yeah,
towards,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so it was like to me, because I do want to apologize for anyone listening, because I had actually a previous podcast, I stated that people that say they have a type or go for a specific type, or it's a very immature thing to say, because like you can't just typecast or what you want to be, because when you're young, you're like, I want a long hair, thick red, but like the Little Wayne stuff. But then
Yeah.
as you get older, you're like, oh, like let me see what this person's about, because maybe a beautiful woman is a dick,
Well,
but then
I started meeting women where they were at as I got older. When I was 25, my frontal cortex, finished developing, and then it was almost like, okay, well, this woman, I stopped. I think in school is too is a social societal norms and pressure too, especially for males. It's like, well, she got to be thick,
she got to be
and she got to be
bad,
and she got
long
to be
hair,
battered and da
yeah.
da da. And it's a lot of male insecurity that's cast on other males. And again, that I never, because like, if you didn't have a girl that's better than you, all your boys, girls, and all this other stuff, like,
Yeah,
you
you
might
getting
as well not
clown.
even exactly. But again, as I got older, I started meeting women where they're at and appreciating their bodies for their whatever they were, and appreciating who they were as people and connecting to them as a person. So back onto the statement and my rebuttal on it. Personally, with all the things I just kind of discussed with the history of me, of who I am and who the person I'm dating is, and my preferences or lack thereof, and different things like that. I think it's incredibly ignorant. I think it's incredibly nearsighted. I think it's very self-oppressive. I mean, I'm very well aware as a black man that when Martin Luther King got there and said you had a dream, the dream was not that all brothers go grab them a white lady, now that we don't get Emmett Till. Okay, nobody is saying that, but at the same time, and it's very similar to the discussion that people have of black people that attend predominantly white institutions versus HBCUs. Okay, I mean, my mom was a legacy of University of North Carolina Chapel Hill. If I didn't go to East Carolina, which my very black sister called me one day and told me I was going to ECU, I didn't even choose ECU. A black woman told me I was going to go there, and I went because I'm smart. And if you're a black man, you listen to the black women in your life and the women in life in general. But what I'll say is the reason, my sister went to A&T for a semester, and let's just say the registrar's office wasn't on it. Okay, they may have gotten better. I'm just telling you at the time. So she ended up transferring to Chapel Hill. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, everybody walks, different strokes for different folks, have different backgrounds, different things that lead them to where they are. I think it's incredibly, especially when I'm talking about education, to put down a black person for getting an education at a certain institution, any kind of institution, because there was a time in this country that we weren't even allowed to get educations. And then if anybody has watched the first and second episodes of Roots, we weren't even thought when we were brought over here on these boats as survivors that we could even learn to read and learn how to be educated. White people didn't think we were capable of that. So I don't understand why we're sitting here talking about and oppressing each other over the choices that people make because they want to go to one institution versus another. Now back to the dating topic. That's the same thing. There are very black men that live in very predominantly areas where there are not other people that look like them, and they get used to what they get used to, things that like them. You know what I'm saying? There was a time in college, no black women didn't want to be with me. I wore seersucker shorts. I had on the my style, my swag wasn't that of a,
Or the
so it wasn't like,
stereotypical black
yeah,
person.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, they wasn't, even I respected that style and had nothing against it. And eventually as I got older, I'm more of a combined, I'm fresh now. I got the J's now. The sisters want me now because they see me with the Yeezys on. I got the Versace on. Yeah. When you rock a designer, everybody gonna want to rock with you. But there was a point in time where no woman, when I was overweight, I was an overweight frat kid, overweight white frat kid. Women in general didn't want to be around me. So, going from somebody who literally used to just get played and put down and stood up on dates and just couldn't even get nothing going for himself, to for anybody at all to even think I'm cool enough or dope enough to even date, like, that's, to me, that's dope. Like, so, why do I get here all of a sudden in my life and I had to be persecuted and ridiculed and put down and told I can't be a part of this, that, and the third? And the woman I'm with generally wants to learn. There's a lot of black people that ain't sat down and watched Alex Haley's Roots. I'm not saying that watching Roots gives you any sort of anything,
Yeah.
whatever. But at the end of the day, she has sat here and watched everything I've asked her to watch with me. She's listened to all my things that I've said. When certain things have happened, she's looked to me. She understands the lanes. You know what I'm saying? So especially when I'm with somebody who wants to be constructive, no matter what they look like, and could potentially gain another ally. And then also too, people's expectations are a lot, because people are, even again, we talked about oppressed, being privileged, but also being oppressed, right? And with privilege comes entitlement, right? And so there's a lot of people who in their oppression even have privilege and entitlement, and feel like, within that entitlement, that, everybody is just supposed to be a certain way or whatever. But that's self-oppressive slavery. That's mental slavery. That's telling people that they have to be a certain way. That's not the dream that Dr. King was talking about. And again, I want to reiterate that Dr. King was not saying as soon as we get anti-lynching bills, then we go ahead and go get us a whole bunch of white women or whatever, or go to a bunch of white schools or whatever. But at the end of the day, we can have those opportunities without getting lynched. And our people still get lynched. They call them suicides.
Like
So,
the situation I'm putting myself in, or like who I'm with, or who I'm around, or my friends I choose to be around, has nothing to do with my support or my
you don't know me. And that's what people need to shut up. People just need to shut up, bro. Because like, you don't know nobody. That's the thing. Nobody, you've heard me be articulate on this podcast. Now you're really about to hear the gutter come out of me. You don't know nobody. You know what I'm saying? I lived in, like I said, 2 blocks from Howard, and in the middle of the country. Nobody knows me. They can't put a label on me. You can't put no box on me. You can't put a circle around me. Nobody knows how I get down. They don't know. You know what I'm saying? I've been in the blackest area. I've been in the blackest situations, and I've been in the whitest things. You know what I'm saying? This is just my personal life. This is just what I've been. All I do is wake up every day. You know what I'm saying? No, I didn't. There was no pre-selection menu before I was born. I was like, all right, cool. So this is about to be this. I'm about to be this color. I didn't choose no avatar. I wasn't like 2K. I didn't make no character. Choose the team I wanted to play on. So we've got to stop giving people grief.
There's no preset guidelines for how we're supposed
to. That's what I'm saying. Stay in your lane. Mind your business. And the quote Jay-Z, what you eat don't make me shit. So why are you so concerned? Why are you so concerned? That's my thing. If a brother's dating, somebody who's not, a sister,
mind your fucking business.
Mind your business. Mind your business. And if you do happen to talk to the brother, have some kind of productive dialogue. Maybe try to seek to understand and not undermine people. That's another thing. People don't ever seek to understand. If they seek to find something so they can get some kind of leverage to make some kind of statement, or just be an asshole. And it's like, yo.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like, two things. It's like, when it comes to giving my opinion, is one, does it absolutely need to be said? And two, does it absolutely need to be said by me? And both of those answers are normally no when it comes to giving my opinion. So I keep my opinion to myself a lot of the times.
Most of the time, people, I was so ecstatic when you invited me to be in this podcast, because in all the shit that I've done in my life too, and this is the humble part of me, all the things I've done in my life, the platforms I've been on, the things that I've accomplished, I still don't even think of myself as somebody that people even give a damn what I think and what I say. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even sit there for 1 second to sit here and think of myself so damn highly that people even care. Like people be putting all these words on the black screen with the words on their story, Instagram
Yeah.
story. Nobody is reading it. Stop posting. Stop making the statuses. Stop tweeting. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. And if you do get feedback, most of the time people are just angry at, they probably stubbed their toe earlier or got a parking ticket. They don't have nothing to do with what you said. They just want to argue.
Yeah, I
And
read some.
it's energy
Oh
wasted.
man, I read something earlier that said, it's like I'm done. Somebody said like I'm done writing analogies, metaphors. I was like, look, hey,
Bro.
look, Black Lives Matter. That's all that matters. And it's the end of it. If you got an argument with it, he's like, leave me alone. He's like, I'm not writing no more problems. I'm not giving you no more salute.
Well,
He's like,
that's yeah.
I'm gonna say what I gotta say, and that's it. Black Lives Matter, and that's essentially what the end of it is for me. And I
Well,
thought
people, yeah.
people,
Well, that's what I say to people. They're like, "Oh, Ryan, you be president one day." I'm not, because I don't have time for that. Like, listen, I'm black. I was born, at a disadvantage. Okay. I was put at a disadvantage. So most of my life up until this point has been beating my disadvantages. I've beaten the system now. Now that I'm out of the system. Now I can work on, repairing my family and setting my kids and setting up my family to continue to stay out of future generational bondage by establishing wealth and ownership and help and start to change the systems that put my family where it was in the first place. I personally don't see in my lifetime where, unless I get some kind of crazy, Jeff Bezos, I start a company at 30 and I'm rich by 42 boost, where I'm going to even have the time to be the leader for a community of people. I have to worry about my kids and my son. I grew up without a dad at home. I don't want my kids to be, I'm over my personal aspirations. My personal aspirations is to stop this shit.
but
you
but but,
know
it, but it's funny you say all this because, like you say, you don't see yourself doing that. And we'll do this, and then we'll like start to close it up because I know after an hour we start like I realize after an hour of speaking it starts to get deep and dark, and then like people are like,
Yeah,
oh
no, we
wow.
can wrap it up.
But
We
no,
can wrap it up.
I want to say this. Like I said, when I first met you and like throughout knowing you throughout the years, you've always been a person that's been really inspirational to me. And like I kind of look at you and I'm like, all right, he's doing this. All right, so I have a little bit of help I
I
can give you.
appreciate that.
And it's even if like not in contact, I just see you in passing on like Instagram, like wow. Or like and then so everything you do has always been like uplifting or positive. And
Yeah,
so even you being on the podcast is you being some form of leader that guides people. And so even if there's one person listening that takes away anything or learn something from this. Because I have a lot of British friends. Actually, my majority of my listeners are British, and they
I
always
love
tell me
that.
like there's something like, "Wow, like I didn't know about the black people," and they'll ask me questions. My friend, she messages me, she's like, "I got this book saying like about white people and how like why I need to stop talking about racism or start talking about racism more or bringing it
Yeah,
up." And stuff like that. And I was like, so for you to constantly like, for you to say like, I don't see myself, you don't have to see it because other people see that in you. And
yeah.
I'm
If
really,
it
really,
happens, it
really,
happens. But
yeah,
I
I'm
don't see
really,
it.
really, like, I'm proud. If I haven't said it enough, like, I'm really proud of like how far you've gotten and how far you're
I
coming.
appreciate
Because,
it.
like I said, I don't see myself. I've never been the person that wants to work a full time job, and I've never had the aspirations to be like a lot of money and massive houses. I mean, it's nice. Don't get me wrong, financial security and like that's fine. I'm fine with that. But I've never been a person that like saw myself like, oh, I'm gonna make six figures one day. I've always been the person that's like, oh, I'm just gonna have enough money to make sure my family's good. I'm gonna sit outside in the yard and on my days off, like have days off and just relax. And so like to see you doing like something you really like put your mind to and actually got it, like good for you. Like I'm
I appreciate
applause,
that,
man. Like
man.
I'm so proud of you for that.
I appreciate
And
that.
I
I,
like I said, the first time I met you, it was like he's gonna make it. Like I was like, there's no doubt in my mind. Like
I
I was like,
appreciate
I
that.
saw you out of all the group of friends. I was like, I kind of have moments up and down. I was like, like, and I met you. I remember Chris introduced me to you, and I was like, man, this dude is like, he has it together. Like it was like you and Jay, all y'all.
Nothing together.
Man, no, man. It's just like because like I knew Ant and all them from like the whole Party Bear thing I think it was
Yeah,
doing.
yeah.
But
Party
I knew
Bear.
him. I knew him in
Shout out
passing.
Party Bear, by the way.
and so,
And
but
Bear.
and so it's like like I remember talking to him in a group chat and telling me he's like I'm doing nonprofit stuff, and I was like, wow, he's getting it. And then like Jay Will joined the military and all that stuff, and I was like, everyone's doing really good. And I was like, but for you, I had never had a doubt in my mind once. I was like, yeah, like he's gonna make it. And like I was like, what, like if it was someone to worry about, like
Man,
it wouldn't have been you. So I'm really proud of you for like
I appreciate that.
everything you do. But so on that note, and we'll close it up on this topic.
Yep.
So for everything you said and everything you've done, uh, And you say you're to the point now. Well, you're probably to a point now where people would say you are their future goal. But what would your future? Where would you put your future goals at right now? Like I would say in the
Yeah,
next 5 to 10 years, where do you want to be? Like after,
yeah.
let's say if this whole COVID thing ends at the end of this year,
Yeah,
please God.
COVID ain't nothing to what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
So yeah.
I'm bigger than that. Here's the deal. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate it. I mean, it's, my mom has always told me from the beginning I've been a fighter, and I just see myself as a survivor. Again, a lot of challenges. I have a very deep story that,
Mm-hmm.
can be told even more at a more detailed a later date. But I've had to overcome a lot of obstacles. Even from my birth, like I was due in September, was born in May. So I spent the first month of my life in an incubator. Didn't even have, organs developed fully. So, for me, the thing is, I tell people I'm just battle tested, battle proven. And the thing is, I don't know if people are spiritual and what they believe in, but I personally that God will never put anything more in you that you can bear. If you don't believe in God, the energy and because I also believe in the universe too as well.
Mm-hmm.
The universe is never going to bring you a challenge that is not meant to make you better. It's really your response. And that doesn't apply to every single thing. And again, different strokes for different folks, right? When you talk about systemic oppression and trying to beat the system and come out of that, it's a lot easier said than done. But again, I've been fortunate to be past that point in my life. But as somebody who again is just recently reached the six-figure level as far as earning, and I've always been proud of myself and the things that I've been able to do. My accomplishments and any job I had, I've been proud of it, no matter what I made. And that's why I want to encourage people to do is, don't let society, don't let what it says on your offer accept letter define you. Okay, if you make 50,000, you make 40,000, 30,000 right now. Understand that with every single day comes new opportunity, and whatever you want to achieve, that positive mindset and that positive thinking is going to get you there. I also want to say it's okay to not be okay, right? Toxic positivity is also a thing. You need to sit back and acknowledge when times are tough, respect your opponent, respect the challenges, and when it's time to take a break or time to take a step back, use those times to reflect internally. Those are all things I've always done, and it's helped me be successful, is to look in. Don't back at the call of will of society, but look internally and look inside and really define, who you want to be. And so on that note, right now I am a, technical recruiter for a very large, very, I would say, famous company, very globally known company. I'm not going to name. Has a very bald boss, JB. Shout out to Uncle JB. But right now, my goal is to one day change the industry that I'm in. And so what I want to do is actually establish, in the world of software engineering and technical, they have these different certifications and things that engineers and people can get, and and certifications and programs that people can take and be a part of. But I actually want to establish those things for technical and for recruiters in general, and actually start different workshops and start programs for recruiters. So when they're graduating out of college, they can get these certifications, not only get the education to be at the level of the companies like Google, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, those FANG companies, Netflix, that they need them to be, but also there'll be a badge that'll be on people's resumes, and hopefully one day will be on people's job requirements. And again, I'll change the industry that way. So right now, because I'm entrepreneurially minded and understand I'm only 28 years old, I want to really just have a really strong career in recruiting for the next 10, 12 years. And then, around, age 35, I'll look up to, probably start these programs and start these workshops and start these different things
So
and
trust the
start to change
process,
the
basically.
landscape. Exactly. But I had to take my experiences and actually learn this industry at that, subject matter expert level to be able to truly give a quality value add to people and to the world. So, my goal next 10 years is to establish those programs. And that's my long-term vision, right? I mentioned earlier I'm a rapper, so all the time I'm making songs. So if I, my one of my short-term goals is to be a one-hit wonder. If I, that's the funny part. People see
That's
rappers and they're
dope.
like, yeah, well,
That's
people.
a
Well, that's the
dope.
thing. People like, I don't want to be. I don't really have to ask. And again, if it happens to me, cool. Like if I could be a Travis Scott or Kanye, or that'd be awesome. Or Drake. But the thing is, man, I just want one. If I could be Vanilla Ice, like Vanilla Ice has a
Yeah.
show on
If I could,
HGTV. Like, and that's our biggest thing is, man, I'm
If I could
about
just get
this
a bag once, like,
my
come
legacy, because
on.
I want to build a school like, like LeBron, and
Yeah,
be bigger than, what I represent. So, I can't build a school on 100K. So when people talk about the dream, a lot of people dream maybe to make 100K. But for me, 100K, I can't do the things that I want. I can't leave a legacy that I want to leave. You know, uh, get back to my university and change the landscape because money talks. So, how am I going to get on the board of governors at ECU and start to actually influence change in the systems that I had to come up and make it better for, other black people coming up behind me, if I don't have that kind of power or money. So my thing
yeah.
is, I want to get to this money, I want to get to this status because I want to use it as a platform to better the world and have great intentions, and just be a positive force in the community. So, that's just really where I'm at. If God can, you hear me, God, right now, if you can bless me with a one-hit wonder, I promise you, I will build a school and educate your black kids so they learn to read before the third grade and won't get incarcerated by the 12th. Okay.
Yeah, what was
So,
it? I listened to something the other day that said, I can't remember exactly what it said, but it was on the lines of, black people can't make a change in America because where there are rich black people, there are no wealthy black people. And
mhm.
he's like, you can have money and be rich, but you can't make a change until you're wealthy. And it's like, I guess the difference was like, LeBron, maybe not LeBron James, but like basketball players and NFL players are rich. They can make situations better. It's like, but they can't make an overall change. He's like, whereas, you see Fortune 500 clubs, or like you see like Bill Gates,
Right.
people who are wealthy, who have the ability to create businesses that can continue making businesses and continue doing things and continue
Well, for black
essentially,
people, it comes through education.
yeah,
And that's why I love what LeBron did with our promise school, because here's the deal. He is changing the trajectory of black, kids and impoverished kids in that area. And so when they go to our promise school, they learn to read, and they learn to read exceptionally well. That allows them to go on and become, business owners, entrepreneurs, people, engineers, doctors, lawyers, right? Instead of being incarcerated, being in prison, and being a burden on the taxpayer's dollar, now they're contributing to society and paying tax dollars. Okay. And, again, my personal, again, you mentioned wealth, and I love that because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to establish generational wealth for my family, and that's my primary goal. Even in all the different things that I've done and all the things that are going on in the world, my primary goal is to look after, making sure that, my kids don't have to go through what I went through,
mhm.
even though I did have privileges and had some good experiences. So yeah, that's just me in a nutshell, man. I
but
just
yeah.
have great intentions. I just have really good intentions, man. I hope I can actually make this change for people.
uh, Well, that was the light the episode of In the Life of Ron, but no, man, that
On
was
my
good.
album. No, I'm just kidding.
But no, seriously, if you guys are interested, all his information will be in the bio. Check him out. Like I said, Instagram. I'm not sure if you have a YouTube or anything. I'm not sure what's going on.
No, I'm establishing it. Instagram is finesse. It's three eyes, two underscores. After that, and check out my single "Pop" on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, all title, everything is live.
Every link.
Yeah,
I just check the bio.
finesse
I'm
with
sending
three
it over.
eyes. Finesse
I'm
with three eyes. I'm the third. I'm the third. So finesse with three eyes. I like to make music just for people to feel good, and yeah, like again, that's I'm just trying to be a difference maker in the world. So
but I hope. Well, I enjoyed this. Like I knew it was gonna be like the
good
moment,
catching up.
like no, like the moment, like I was like I was sitting down planning podcast, and I was like, and the first that came to mind, I was like Ron. I was like, cause like cause it's just so it's like I took a break for a couple weeks break because just mentally I have a lot going on myself. I say we'll talk about it off camera, but
Yeah.
just like just everything with this COVID, and so I was like, I had to take a break and figure out what I'm doing with this where direction I want to go with this podcast and my life in general. But yeah, so like you were the first person to message, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad I'm starting off this new this wave. You now give me a whole series of ideas and more
As you
inspiration.
grow, man, keep
So,
bring me back, man. The thing is, there's a lot to talk about, and I just want people to have a positive voice, and not a toxic positive voice. Like I said, it's okay to not be okay. If these are unprecedented times for people. We are being shut off from seeing our families. We have not been able to go and enjoy the typical luxuries that we are usually afforded as citizens of the world. So you have to acknowledge these things, and you have to respect these things. And if you're not feeling your normal self, it might be some time to take some time apart, to look
Hmm.
internally like you did, and thinking about what you want to accomplish, and really get a plan on how you're going to live your life, and adjust it in this environment and things like that. So again, I just want to encourage everybody to just love on somebody, just drink some red wine, and
Protect your energy.
yeah,
Protect your
protect your
energy.
energy, protect your energy, protect your energy.
But I hope everyone listening, hope you have a good day, good night, good day at work, good drive. Be
Be
blessed
be
and
safe. Yes.
make good choices.